Hello, Crystal. How are you today?
Doing good. How about you?
Good. I'm doing pretty well. So, hey, everybody, we're going to keep this short, maybe about 5 minutes, but I'm just going to tell you how this came about. Of course, I'm Aaron. I pastor at Harriman Chapel, which is an outreach of Calvary Chapel. So I called Crystal, who is the director of Young Life, who's one of the ministries we support, just to say hi, see how you're going. And as usual, when I talk with Crystal and many other people, we just end up with interesting conversations. So we thought it would be cool just to share with you guys kind of how that conversation went. We won't be able to recreate it, but we were talking about things that are coming along with this pandemic, loss, grief, and fear. And Crystal, I was really impressed with some of the things that you had to say about that. And you were talking specifically about Deuteronomy chapter 5. If you can, tell me what you told me that day.
Okay, I'll do my best. So that day I'm reading through the Bible in a year. I think I'm on year 5 of that. And and I was
reading the Bible in a year in 5 years?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so it was Deuteronomy 5, and I had read 23 and 24, and it says, let's bring it over here. While the mountain was blazing with fire, all your tribal leaders and elders, when you heard the voice from the heart of the darkness, while the mountain was blazing with fire, all your tribal leaders and elders came to me. They said, "Look, the Lord our God has shown us his glory and greatness, and we have heard his voice from the heart of the fire. Today, we have seen that God can speak to us humans, and yet we live." And the part that struck me was from the heart of the darkness and from the heart of the fire. And I was just thinking about this picture of this mountain on fire, but the fire's not being destroyed, and how afraid everyone was. And I was thinking how this coronavirus is like a fire. It's trying all of us. It's a trial for all of us.
It kind of feels like the whole world's on fire. Everything's changed. Everything's changed in America, out there in the world. So it kind of feels like that. I mean, they had physical fire, but it just feels like the world's on fire. Yeah. But the other thing is that they're still seeing and communicating with God.
Yeah. And so it was like from the heart of the darkness, from the heart of the fire. And I was thinking how in times of trial, we have a choice to either step into the fire, and if we do, we will hear the voice of God, or we can check out, we can numb out, we can do whatever, and we can avoid the fire. And if we do that, we miss out on an opportunity to hear from God. And in this story, this is like the first time that the people of Israel had heard the voice of God. Like Moses had talked to him multiple times and knew who he was, but the people didn't. And they were so filled with fear, and they let fear keep them from knowing God. And so I was like, what does it mean to press into the heart of God, to press into the heart of the fire, the heart of darkness? Because this is scary. Like the unknown of coronavirus is scary. If we just knew the end, I think we wouldn't feel afraid, but it's the unknown of it that creates darkness, right? Darkness is all unknown. And so
yeah, that's the thing that creates fear. And the interesting thing about this too is that as we were talking about this passage is where Moses is recounting the 10 commandments, and one of the important things is pressing into God in that time of fear is the concept of Sabbath. And it seems like when you hear Sabbath, you think of a faraway Jewish concept, but in Christianity, it should be something that we do, something that we practice. So that thing of pressing into God, where you have to take the time to get quiet with God and hear him and spend time with him, right? Just like any other relationship.
Yeah. In Young Life this semester, we've been going through the book of Mark together as a team. And so we're in Mark chapter 4, and I'm reading with this high school girl. And sorry, we're in Mark chapter 4 today. We're in Mark chapter 3 yesterday. And we were reading about the Sabbath, and how at the very end of it, Jesus says that the Sabbath was made for us. We weren't made for the Sabbath. Let me find it here. Here we go. Or was it chapter 2? Sorry, chapter 2. Well, this is a couple days ago. So chapter 2, 27 to 28. The Sabbath was made to meet the needs of people, and not people to meet the requirements of the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord, even over the Sabbath. And so I was thinking, what does Sabbath look like for me in this season? And I realized that for me, when I'm afraid, I get really busy. I think other people, when they're afraid, they check out, they numb out. But I'm like, if something's going wrong, put me in the middle of it, give me things to do. And I use that to keep me from connecting with God. and so I've really been challenged to be like, what does it mean for me to take Sabbath in this like kind of forced Sabbath? And I'm not doing well at it, but my goal is to try to just disconnect and to step back and be like, okay, God, like, what are you doing? Which was what hit me this morning in Mark 4 of like, only God knows, right? Like, I'm so addicted to the news cycles. I'm so addicted to listening to people. And I'm like, not addicted to God. I'm not addicted to just like sitting and listening to him. And he's the one who actually knows what's happening in the darkness. Everyone else is just observing what they're seeing today. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I used to be much like you until the recent years. Have just gotten older and slowed down a lot, but before it never occurred to me not to be full throttle on everything I did. So and just sometimes filling time with idle time is it can be, you know, oh, I got rest, but you know, watching the Tiger King, which I have not, by the way, maybe something, but it may be rest for the body, but not for the soul. So gosh, we're going to try to keep it at 5 minutes. We're already at 6.5. But so I would say, hey, hopefully this has helped you. And the reason why we did this is because, hey, if you know somebody that's out there, call them and talk about what you're reading in the Bible. That's what we did here. That's what I do with a number of people. I always like and appreciate talking to you, Crystal, because you always have insight and you're passionate about it. So,
Well, hey, let me leave it with one promise.
yes,
So
okay.
this is a
Absolutely.
promise. Mark 4:24. Jesus said, pay close attention to what you hear from him. The closer you listen to Jesus and his teaching, the more understanding you will be given and you will receive even more. And I think that's what we need in order to not be afraid. Is we press into the darkness, we hear God's voice, and we gain understanding and hope.
Mark 4:24, if you missed that, and 25 too, I believe. That's awesome. That really is more understanding. So, hey, be safe out there, guys. Be in prayer. Be on watch for each other and their physical needs and spiritual needs. And hey, maybe we'll see you again sometimes. Thanks, Crystal. I appreciate you always having great insight. God bless.
God bless you.